Members, the House is resumed. Before the dinner break, we were on the second reading of the Returning Offenders Management and Information Bill. The Honourable David Parker was speaking and has 2 minutes 27 seconds remaining should he wish to continue.
Mr. Speaker.
Honourable David Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Before the dinner break, I was talking about why it was important that, given that urgency is being accorded to this bill, given that we've already found some defects in the bill, given that we don't know whether it goes far enough to protect the interests of potential victims being subject to crime by these returning criminals, and conversely we don't know whether it goes too far and catches people in the net that ought not to be caught, that we can't know in this truncated process because the government's taken so long to get this bill to the House, that urgency is necessary, but nonetheless the normal protections that follow normal processes have not been applied, that we should have a two-stage process with two versions of the bill being read a first time now. This offer was made to the government, that one of them had a drop-dead date, an end date of a year or 2 years. We weren't too fixed on the specific date. That bill passed through all stages today, that at the same time we had a bill that was identical in all respects, except that it only took effect from the drop-dead date of the first bill and only passed one stage and then went to Select Committee. The Minister's answer was that they were planning a review in a few years anyway. Well, it's completely different, and of course it's a review by the government and the government departments, and if they get this legislation wrong in ways that could have been fixed at Select Committee, they're not going to in 2 or 3 years' time say, "Oh, we got this all wrong, guys." They'll be minimising the problems. They'll be saying, "Oh, well, it was all right, there was this little detail that perhaps ought to have been fixed." That's the difference between the government being able to do things by themselves and Parliament having oversight. And if it was good enough for the government just to do things quickly by themselves without parliamentary oversight and public submissions from groups like the Law Society or the Council for Civil Liberties or Rape Crisis or other victim groups, if that was the way in which we ought to properly do things, we actually wouldn't have the normal 3 stages of legislation and Select Committee processes. Sir, I'm dismayed that the government hasn't taken up that very sensible offer that we made.
I call Tim McIndoe.